This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Head to Morley Market in Leeds to see the life-size Darth Vader. Alternatively, reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
Welcome to TSW After Darkside. Join us. It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Yeah, I might bleed out. But hang on, that sounds weird.
Well, you know, yeah, don't do that. That's gross.
That is gross.
I do wanted.
Right.
Goodness me.
Are you singing 50 songs?
Yeah, I did want to bring up one thing because in the past couple of weeks, I've become addicted to YouTube videos about weird stuff.
Okay.
Not
right.
Weird as in supernatural stuff. And
okay. I see. I know the kind of thing you mean.
UFOs, ghost photography, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I can't stop watching it. There's a channel that I've absolutely fallen in love with called Top 5. Have you ever heard of Top 5?
I know the kind of thing it does, like similar to What Culture.
I've not seen.
Oh, dude, you have to watch What Culture stuff.
Oh,
it's amazing. I'm just gonna show you what. Just go for one right now. 11 bizarre ways movies have been spoiled.
Right.
And it's all about. Okay. I can swear now. Bollocks. It's all about ways in which the movie kind of gives you clues. In like, here we go. So, the movie Lone Survivor shows you the lone survivor on the poster by the fact it's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
No, this was this stuff that I've been watching is very, very different. It's not that sort of cultural stuff. It's more like one of these things is absolutely brilliant. It's a photograph of a guy who's on the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
He's on the edge of the Grand Canyon. I can't remember what the video is now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes out every week and it's 5 different examples of the same sort of thing, but along the same sort of lines. But one of these things is this guy who's on the edge of the Grand Canyon and he goes out on this little precipice and looks like he's about to dive off. Like he's putting his hands, steepling his fingers together, and he's looking like he's just about to dive. And his friends are on the other side of the canyon taking a photograph of him, just because they thought it would be funny. And when they had the photograph developed, they've noticed this hooded figure in this thicket of bushes behind them.
Oh, okay.
Who looks slightly larger than a normal human and is pale white. It kind of looks like the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And they are suggesting that is the Grim Reaper. Or, and I find this even more terrifying, it was somebody lurking in the bushes waiting for an opportunity to push somebody to their death. Which I think is even more terrifying.
Totally. Yeah. The fact that somebody's just going to be like any minute now.
It's a really haunting. You need to look that up on
Top Fives.
On
called,
YouTube.
Yeah?
Top Fives. Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what I've been watching a lot on YouTube recently. This is absolutely true. Last night I was writing. It was just kind of I had something I'd written ages ago, and I was just kind of editing it and tidying it up and stuff. And in the background, I had James's golf rap on loop.
Oh, really?
Over and over and over again. I cannot stop listening to it.
Fanboy, eh?
Oh, totally. It's just infectious. It's partly down to the beat, and I found the beat that he used.
Yeah. Did you see the resources on his site, on his YouTube page?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, sometimes they go in. But yeah, he's. It's just great. You know, it's really, really compelling. And like I say, part of it's down to the beat's really good. And actually, I was saying about in the main show earlier that I'd started writing something. In my head, it runs to the same tune.
Right.
So maybe I don't know if I've backed myself into a corner there, because I'm going to have to commit the same. I suppose it's piracy, isn't it? Unless I don't know how it works.
It's just parody, isn't it? If you're doing
some channels let you credit. You know, let you use it for free if you put credits in the. What's it called?
That should simply be that the way it is, really, as well, shouldn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, well, quite. You know, it's so, like I say, I've definitely seen some channels that let you. It says in their description, you know, free to use if you put our links and descriptions in your description, that sort of thing. So you know, as long as you're crediting correctly, there are some people who are just like, yeah, go nuts. And actually, I put a YouTube video up the other day. Basically, my friend, another guy called Mark with a C, he's sort of the latest person to start doing stuff on Emotionally 14. He and I went to a thing called Summer of Sonic, which is like a sort of small scale convention.
I heard you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. He was good. He's good company, so you know I was happy enough just to be out with my mate. Because otherwise it would have been very odd, I think, if I'd just gone there and not had, you know, if I'd just gone there by myself, I wouldn't have stayed longer than 20 minutes.
Right.
Because I went to that board game market and didn't stay longer than 20 minutes, and I was enjoying myself there because I'd keep seeing stuff I wanted to buy. I didn't, but it's because I was worried about finances for reasons that turned out not to be as bad as I thought. But then isn't that always the way? So he recorded. I recorded him playing a game that they had on display, like a sort of like an arcade machine size game, and we recorded it. And I tacked it on the end of one of our videos that's coming. It'll be up by the time this goes live. And he was like, "Oh, it's a bit quiet. Can we put some music on?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have a look and see what I can find." And there's a lot of artists who just let you go nuts with music on YouTube if you use the video editor thing they've got. They'll let you just use it they'll even let you monetize the video as well.
Oh, really?
It's really quite incredible, especially considering, have you seen this latest news about YouTube, Mark?
No.
So at the time of recording, it's happening today. They've basically introduced this new terms of service that ostensibly at this point looks like it goes, if you have swearing in your title on YouTube, they will remove your monetization instantly.
Really?
Yeah. They've also, people have pointed out that the description of what kind of constitutes demonetizable content could easily just be very much abused. Like there's a lot of scope there for abuse and kind of, you know, like power plays by YouTube.
Oh,
you know,
really?
if you're somebody who's got a history of being difficult, for example, you've got like loads of strikes against your name and stuff, they can use it to just demonetize stuff you do.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I put it on Twitter today. I just wrote a short tweet that said, "Oh well, by all accounts, YouTube have lost the plot. That's disappointing." It's really weird. Like, you know, it's gone from sort of everything's fine and dandy to, oh, we don't want stuff with swearing. It's like, well, good luck finding content that doesn't have it somewhere.
Yeah.
There was somebody who was joking that you know, YouTube Rewind, their sort of, you know, their convention.
Yeah.
This year it's all going to be makeup tutorials and what's in my handbag. Because everybody else is going to be banned.
What a shame.
Yes,
what a weird thing.
It's all getting very odd. Like, did you read the thing about PewDiePie? You know PewDiePie?
Yeah, I know PewDiePie.
He got suspended from Twitter for making a joke about joining ISIS.
Oh, dear.
He's like, you know, he's as far removed from a Muslim extremist or a Daesh or whatever they're called. He's as far removed as they go. He's, you know, a young Swedish white bloke.
Gamer.
Yeah, a young Swedish
man.
white bloke gamer who just does stupid noises and, you know, that sort of thing on a YouTube channel. He's got, I think it's like 40 He makes $47 million a year or some stupidly high amount.
Yeah. Well, we need to be careful what we say. Let's not badmouth YouTube too much because they might take away my £1.85 a year that I make.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not, it just seems odd, or maybe that's 47 million subscribers. Maybe he doesn't make $47 million a year. When did I read that? I don't know. He makes loads of money off YouTube anyway.
Yeah, probably about 25 grand a week.
And probably other connected. He probably gets some other connected stuff as well. But because obviously, like, people go into sort of side projects and get, sponsorship and licensing and so on. Because I know they did. I've seen these in the shop the other day. They do like YouTuber action figures. Oh, God. But they're not people I've ever heard of. It's like I'll just look at the name and I'm just like, who? Like, because I have a kind of, I have a tangential understanding of a lot of these YouTubers, and I do know, I'm aware of, even if I don't follow them and view them myself, I'm aware of some of the bigger ones, like your, Zoella and people like that. But it's just very odd, like how they're really kind of, all these websites are all just getting a bit knee jerk when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, a little bit sensitive to it now, aren't they?
Yeah, this is it. I mean, like I say, it's
nanny state stuff.
Yeah, it worries me because I'm not a big government person. I don't want massive amounts of oversight telling me what I can and can't do. And like I joked about thought police earlier. I was talking about thought police when the sirens went off during the main show. But that stuff does concern me a lot. That this kind of thing is becoming more prevalent because historically I've always kind of thought of those people who are pushing for that stuff. I always thought them as a bit of sort of fringe lunatics, but actually they've obviously got some credence because they're making changes. They're actually changing things, and that terrifies me.
Yeah, it's there's also a bit of a sting in it as well, where these people have kind of made the platform that they're on as well. They're not just multi-millionaire YouTube users. They've obviously built that platform for YouTube in a way.
Well, here's the thing. There's a guy called Boogie. I don't know why it's called this, but I'm guessing it's just because the original name was taken. Boogie2988. He's got 3.5 million subscribers, and by all accounts, he seems like a lovely bloke. I've read a lot of nice things about him and how he's a very sort of down to earth guy, very open, very honest. He's he gets very emotional when he's talking about stuff he's passionate about and things like that. And good for him. He is a gamer, but he also talks about things like mental health. And he shared a screenshot earlier where loads of his videos have been flagged as inappropriate because they talk about mental health issues.
For crying out loud, really?
I know. Well, this is it. He's
discussing it. He's not ridiculing it or trivializing
it. No, he suffers from these things, and he's talking about them to try and sort of raise awareness and
asking questions nobody else is asking right now. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and to destigmatize this stuff. I shared a thing on Facebook the other week. I don't know if you'd have seen this, Paul, because we've only just become Facebook friends, haven't we? But I shared a thing the other week that a friend of mine...
Yeah, trust and that, Talk to someone, wasn't it?
It's okay to talk, yeah.
Yes,
because suicide is the biggest killer of men under 45 in this country.
That statistic blew me away, actually, mate.
It's horrifying that it's something we can... Obviously, depression's there's a chemical element to it, but it is something we can... we can improve this stuff. We can improve kind of access to mental health services. We can improve the help that's available, not just kind of to your own friends and to your own family and stuff, but we can improve that stuff on a societal level. And it just seems baffling to me that we don't seem to be throwing a lot of weight at it. And actually, I've seen kind of things that suggest that some decision makers actually find the concept quite laughable, and that's sadder in a way as well. It's just, I don't know. That stuff gets me down. That's why I watch that golf thing over and over again. Just get so bloody
watch some things
upbeat.
about creepy ghosts and shit.
Yeah, or I just make videos about gaming. But I'll make sure not to say fuck in the title because obviously that's a no-no. It's mental, isn't it? You can, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that games are. I'm not kind of demonizing games here, but you can put in the video. You can presumably make the game about as a violent a game as you want, but you can't say fuck in the title. No, because that turns advertised.
The whole freedom
off.
of the internet is dwindling, isn't it?
It is, yeah. What's interesting is somebody pointed. I was reading this on Reddit because I read a thread about it, and somebody pointed this out. Let's say Coke goes to YouTube and says we want to advertise to 25 to 34-year-olds, and YouTube go, okay, we'll put the ad on the videos that are targeted at 25 to 34-year-olds. Oh no, we can't do that because that one's got swearing in it. Isn't Coke, by giving them the money and specifying the demographic, saying we want that demographic, kind of come what may? So surely YouTube don't need to make that call. That's Coke have made that call by saying here's the money, we want this.
Yeah.
And it's up to YouTube to just serve it. They don't need to be moral arbiters on this stuff. If anything, they need to back off and let it, and let the thing figure itself out. It just seems baffling to me that they're getting involved at all. It seems like a sort of very authoritarian move.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah, very much so.
And not at the same time.
Yeah, I know.
Not entirely unexpected.
Yeah,
it's a private company, so obviously they have certain, there's certain things they can do, and you can't really argue. But
they're that big now. I don't know how private they probably are anymore.
Well, true, yeah, but I suppose they're Google, aren't they? So obviously they answer to the shareholders of Google as much as anybody else.
A lot of external thumbs jump in the pie.
Yes, very much. So.
How do they make their money?
Well,
Google
but this
AdSense.
is the other thing. They make their money through Google AdSense. But if all these video providers, show enough interest, somebody will create a platform that doesn't have these problems. Because this is what happened to cable TV. Cable TV didn't die an instant death as soon as something else came along. It's been chipped away at slowly by things like Netflix. And now cable TV is it's nowhere near, it's had a massive amount taken out of it because it just got so big and thought it was too big to fail. And we've seen what happens when that happens. I don't know. Let's talk about something more cheerful.
Paul.
Hello.
Did you see that NASA cut their feed to the ISS the other week?
Yeah. There's several feeds, to be honest. They've got one that's on a permanent downlink. But there's a public live one that you can just get on with a browser, can't you? But for many moons
as well.
Right, yeah. But there's also a direct one that you can actually access via sort of the TV equivalent of ham radio. There's always been a sort of a bandwidth you can pick up a signal and you can actually follow it for there, because that's where Martin Stubbs got all of his information from. I don't know if that's a name you've heard of.
It's not. No.
We did that on the podcast episode that we did, Paul, and we spoke about.
Yeah, Martin Stubbs was my hero for some time. He released a publication called The Smoking Gun. With a company. I used to read a magazine monthly. It was just called UFO Magazine, and it was by the Birdsall family. And Gary Birdsall died several years ago. But Steve and I actually went to see them in Birmingham. We had a fantastic weekend. Also, Robert Bavall was there and Graham Hancock was there. So it was all about how the whole the mystery of Egypt was sort of tangible to other things that were going on. It was this just intricate web of deceit and intrigue and technology and mystery and history and stuff. It was very cool. But at the beginning of the show, Graham Birdsall came on stage with Ian Callahan and he was like, "Okay, we've got some videos to show you. We want to basically just get your thoughts." And there was an auditorium of about a couple of thousand people. It was great. It was a great feeling, really good situation going on, and. He said, we've just signed a deal with this chap called Martin Stubbs, and for forever, this guy called Martin Stubbs, he'd been getting up at like 5 o'clock every morning, plugging in he had about 4 or 5 dishes and basically pointing them in the right direction, and then pinging in the NASA direct satellite feed, just pressing record and then going to work. He said I had everything on long play, and he'd come back and have 8 hours of footage, and the stuff he found was phenomenal. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff I've seen on the normal NASA live feed has got nothing compared to what we saw with the Martin Stubbs information. Absolutely nothing. I don't know if you're familiar with the ice crystals thing. I think it was STS-32 or something. And basically, you see this enormous shift in terrestrial, celestial bodies all at the same time out of the space shuttle window after what appears to be an explosion and a controlled movement of maybe a missile, ground to air missile or whatever it may well be. And it's just very, very strange. But Martin Stubbs said, that's one of about 100. And then he just gave us this montage of about 25 minutes of all this stuff he'd cut to pieces of all these strange things that are moving around. And Mia was a beehive of activity. But it wasn't only things that were outside, it was things that were inside. And that's never, to the best of my knowledge, never, ever been shown. But Steve and I saw it. They were doing a shuttle walk, and they were coming in, and inside the main bay, all these tiny little lights bouncing around furiously inside the shuttle bay, and the astronauts are like, vector left, and they're like, no, stay focused, don't mention it, and they're like, foreign body, 2 o'clock, and this is inside the shuttle, inside. Yeah. It was absolutely fantastic. But nothing was ever said of that. Everyone always talked about, the standard sort of flicky lights that drift very, very slowly past Mir, which is still very common now. But that said, there is a lot. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tons of shit flying around up there. So it can often be light, quite literally reflecting off a spinning bulk or a spinning plate, just floating past, and it catches the light wrong. Oh, look, UFO. No, it's not. Yeah. It's a piece of crap flying past the window. Yeah. But I want someone to explain what the lights were inside the space shuttle, because they look intelligent.
Their reaction as well,
and they constantly use the words things like "stay on vector."
Yes, leave it.
Like sort of thing.
But no, leave it.
So, but what NASA needs to remember is that they're a public access. They're still technically a public access, publicly owned company, United States, and still a lot of people bleed off that transmission, and it's going to affect them long term. I think it's going to affect them long term. The thing is that, it says they cut the public feed. The feed will still be going on. It's just they'll probably change the frequency or something like that. Someone will hack in, and before you know, something else happens.
Back up and running. Yeah.
And the thing is, for what you can get from the live feed, for everything that does look mysterious, somebody says, "Oh, we saw this," and they buff it, they add to it, they Photoshop it, they clean it, they blast it, and next thing you know, you've literally got a Death Star in front of it. It's like, for Christ's sakes, it doesn't do the rest of us any good.
No, this is the trouble, isn't it? It's like sometimes it's like the analogy I'd use is I used to have these certain friends, and I think everybody has these friends growing up, the ones who tell a story and that they're either embellishing it or flat out making shit up. And if they're embellishing stuff, I had this friend, I won't say his name just in case he listens on the off chance, but he used to be bad for exaggerating. But if he'd just tell me the story as it happened, I'm sure I would have been still impressed, because I was very much like, I didn't really have a lot of life experience and stuff like that. So, why it wasn't kind of just left to me to like, is that, oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's cool. And that would be it. And I would have still been impressed by the real story had he just had the balls to tell me it.
And it didn't need the Knights Templar attached to it and everything else sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I had this a few years ago, quite a few years ago, when Lisa and I were still living in our first home.
Yeah.
She was going away on training courses on a Sunday. She'd be away for a couple of days up in Burton-on-Trent. And when she went away on this Sunday night, I went to bed quite early. And obviously, I was on my own. I was still living in the woods, but in a different area. Right. And
when you say the woods, you mean
we're not
off the beaten path, not like in a house raised by fucking wolves.
No, in a house with indoor plumbing for the most part. Okay. And
right.
Yeah, I'd gone to bed after she left, and I couldn't have been asleep for very long when I woke up to hear the front door open. And you know what what you're just saying about your friend telling stories and embellishing and things like this. This is me telling just the bare facts, right, of what I experienced.
You saw a bear?
There was a bear that came in with this fax. I said, why don't you use an email, troglodyte? He said, I'm not a troglodyte, I'm a bear. No, so I woke up, I heard the front door open, and I looked at the clock. I thought, she's come home, but she hadn't had enough time to get to Burton-on-Trent and back.
Yeah.
So something must have happened,
right,
to make her come home. But I thought, why hasn't she phoned me? And then I heard a light go on. You know all the sounds you hear in a house when you're, on a different level. I heard a light go on downstairs.
Yep.
Then I heard a man clear his throat. This very distinctive sort of.
Okay.
And at this point, I'm laying in bed thinking, what the fuck is going on?
What happened to her while she was away?
Yeah, she's become a man. But I soon realised that the noise I was hearing.
She hasn't had time to become a man and come back.
Yeah,
she has to live with it for a year.
And how does she get past the bear holding the fax? So I'd heard.
He cleared his throat.
Yeah, he cleared his throat. The noise I heard was my dad clearing his throat. Because that's this habit that my dad has got of this constant sort of little cough. And and then I heard him go into the kitchen and I heard the kettle boiling and I thought, he's really making himself at home. Why is he? What's happened that's made him come round this late at night? This is like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And all of these, I'm rationalising all of these things while I'm just still in bed. I realise I'm still in bed and someone's come in and they're walking around my house downstairs. And then the room I was in seemed to be brightly lit by moonlight. It was really had this really sort of ethereal sort of feel about it. Mm-hmm. And I heard the spoon going in the cup. He made himself a coffee down there. I heard the TV go on and started hearing the football. And I thought, right, this has gotten weird enough. I don't know what's going on. Got to go and find out what he's doing here. Because I was convinced by this point it was my dad.
Right.
So I swung my legs out of bed and woke up. I was having this absolutely really realistic, what they call it, like a lucid dream.
Lucid dream, yeah.
Wow.
And the minute I swung to get out of bed, I'd obviously sat up in my sleep. The minute I swung my legs out of bed, the room went dark. There was no moonlight at all.
Wow.
It was all a complete fabrication of my subconscious. And the house went silent.
Powerful thing.
And I said to Lisa, once I'd woken up and I realised what had happened, all the noises I was hearing were the noises I used to hear when I lived at my parents' house. Because I had my bedroom was right above the living room. So I would hear my dad, I'd hear the telly, I'd hear the channel changing, I could hear him clearing his throat, I'd hear if he made a coffee and, the little the clinking in the cup and what have you. All of that stuff was really vivid because it was all stuff that
real things you'd heard.
It was all
this is
real
very
elements.
spooky.
It was very, very strange. I pulled all of this stuff in to deal with what I don't know because nothing had happened to trigger it at all.
Yeah.
I was just on my own and I'd just heard the door open and then all these other noises from my past had come zooming in and formed this narrative.
Yeah.
And it was enough to compel me to sort of move physically in space. So I'd sat up in bed, propped myself up in bed while I was still asleep having this lucid dream.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I'd thrown my body to get out of bed that it woke me up. Obviously, I guess to kind of protect me from harming myself, I woke up and the whole room went dark and the whole house went silent. It was very, very weird. And
it sounds weird.
I'd actually, I'd written that story I listened to a podcast called Bizarre States. The guys from Nerdist make it. Jessica Chobot hosts it. And I'd written that story in and she read it on the show.
Oh, wow.
And I'd written, like the purpose of telling that story is the same reason I'm telling that story now was if I was predisposed to believe in aliens, is that what I would have seen that night? Or if I was predisposed to believe in ghosts, would
I see what you're saying.
that moonlight that was lighting my room, would that have turned into this big shaft and beam of light and alien little greys coming into the room? Or would I have seen like some headless horseman ride through a room, but because
that is a fascinating question.
Because I'm more pragmatic.
You go
than
down the avenues that are obviously familiar to you. Yeah.
And it was
and
clearly
that your brain is willing to countenance.
Yeah, I was rationalising everything as it was going. So the first thing that misled me was I'd heard the front door open when it hadn't, and I went down and checked. The front door hadn't opened, but I'd heard that noise, and then I'd strung the next logical thing in the series.
Yeah,
And there were no ghosts or poltergeists, disembodied voices, no werewolves, no bears holding faxes, no UFOs.
Yeah,
It was all very grounded stuff.
bears holding faxes.
But
So
if I'd been predisposed to the other stuff, that might have been what I'd seen.
I had a similar but a not similar thing this week, and I don't know if it was because of our podcast, Mark.
All right.
I was in my lounge and I'm watching the game, but I'm on my own. But I'm watching this football game, and then a friend of ours appears and just sits down. I didn't take any notice of him whatsoever, and I'm looking at the football game, and I have no idea why I thought this was very strange. The whole thing just rolled along in a very funny manner. But like you say, it's what you're familiar with. And I'm looking at this football game, and I'm like, something's wrong here. I was like, football pitches aren't as muddy as this nowadays, sort of thing. And their hair, they've all got long hair.
Yeah.
So I look at my friend sitting next to me, and I'm like, what are we watching? What's this? He's like, it's this morning's game. I said, no, look at them. They've all got it's muddy. It's like mid-80s. I said, give me the paper. So I'm getting the paper to check there's not a rerun of something else on. I get to the paper, but what do I look at on the paper, Mark? The date.
And it's an old one.
It's an old paper.
Right.
So I'm like, well, it's this paper. It's like, well, it's today's paper. Dad likes it for the sport. I'm like, well, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. And I mean, I'm actually aware that I'm dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's got to be something's wrong. I'm dreaming. I'm not supposed to be here. And he's like, go and relax. Go and get some fresh air. So then I stand up, and all of a sudden I am in my lounge from about 1984. Everything is in place. Everything is in place. I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. I can feel the carpet. I can feel the walls. And because as I'm leaving, I'm dragging my fingers down the walls, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just making sure that everything's real because I'm really frightened. I don't belong here." And I'm using the line, Mark, "I don't belong here," sort of thing. So he's like, "Oh, I was like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do." I said, "If this is 1984, by now my dad would have fixed the front porch because our house was different to everybody else's." So I go out to the front of the house, and the porch is exactly as I remember it.
Wow.
And I'm looking on the front garden. I'm like, "This grass can't be real." I put my hands on the grass. I feel it. And now I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I'm not dreaming. This is completely real. I can't wait. I'm shouting at myself to wake up.
Yeah.
So I then decide to walk, and I'm walking through my old close where I used to live as a kid, and I'm feeling everything, and I'm talking to neighbours. Hello, Paul. I was like, yeah, you all right? No, I'm not feeling very comfy, but I'll be okay. Give me 10 minutes. And the old cars are at the end of the road, and I was in this. It felt like 3-4 weeks. Obviously, this is a few minutes sort of thing. I'm like, right, last test I'm going to do. If I go around a corner, my dad's car is going to be there, and it's going to be an old Austin Princess. Blah blah blah. I go around the corner. Oh crikey! And there's this car. And I then succumbed to my dream as a reality.
Right.
And I was just standing there, terrified. I've done it. But I'm in a different time zone.
It's like
and I had to laugh. But I had to laugh. Yeah, it was, and it was the same bloody year, Rob.
Yeah.
I had to laugh because I'm standing there. I'm stuck. Everyone here, no one seems to be questioning how old I am.
No.
Everyone's accepting me. It's fine. I'm in a place where I'm safe and warm because everyone here knows me and loves me, but I don't belong. Blah 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 blah. And then I literally looked up at the sky and I'm like, for Christ's sakes, wake up. Wake up. And then pop, my eyes did open. The whole room was completely lit up white.
Right.
Because my phone had lit up for a text message or something at the same time. So on the point of waking up, I think I'm in another bad dream. Sort of thing.
Groundhog Day of dreams.
I know what you're talking about when it comes to the reality of the situation.
I thought you just woke up and thought, I'm dead, put me back in the 80s.
I don't know if that's an era you'd go back to, frankly.
Well, I only lived through
very
6 years.
strange, but like you say, the things you are familiar with, it's almost like you can subconsciously make them tangible, can't you?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Your brain is an incredibly powerful thing.
To be honest, I mean, I was scared now, but I'm really pleased I experienced it because it was, in hindsight, great fun.
It's fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, really fascinating.
Yeah.
It's
And
funny,
if I
actually.
dream it again, I'd probably
Play
try
with
to
it a bit.
control it because you can do that, can't you? And I probably can't try and play with it and see what I could do with it. But God, at the time, unbearably real. Unbearably real. And I'm sitting there thinking, and afterwards I thought about it. And I don't want to go too much off the subject change, but I'm like, crikey, what do people experience when they're in comas?
Yeah.
What's their real life status for them? Are they happy in there? Are they walking around? Is everything groovy? Because it's the last thing they remember. Happy day with the wife and kids at the, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I'm wondering, wow, what, is there anything we could learn from this to create more positive situations for people that are in pain and so on and so on? I don't know. I found it a very fascinating situation.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff to kind of to ruminate on these things as well, you know.
Did
I have
I
this
ever-
ruminate.
Sorry, Rob. No, go for it.
I was going to say I have this rumination that I can never get away from. Right, I have this, and I think it's probably pretty valid. You know how in dreams people say when they have a dream where they're falling or something like that.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
They wake up just before they hit the ground.
Yeah.
I have a theory that that's because your brain doesn't know what it's like to die.
But I've heard this before. It's like your brain is not ready for that experience, so it decides to do a.
But it makes me wonder. People who die in their sleep,
is because it doesn't have
has the brain just not done that action?
Yeah. Do you go through a situation where, if you go through that in your sleep, is it because of? I mean, are you in a condition that your brain decides it's okay to go that far?
Exactly. This is the stuff I find kind of interesting to think about. Morbid, I know, but you know.
No, well, it's not that morbid, to be honest.
No,
you can. I mean, if these things were researched properly, the amount of positivity we could possibly get from them could be, unbound.
Totally, yeah. And as if to punctuate that fact, the dog comes skitting in on its.
Yeah, she's
skids across the floor.
She's just staring into space.
She's having a dream. She thinks she's upstairs eating a bone.
Do you know what? I've got another little story to tell you, and then we'll probably have to wrap this one up. But remind me next week to tell you about a story I've written called Blackout.
Okay.
Which I don't think I've told you anything about it, Paul.
No.
But I think it will blow you away. But if we had more time tonight, I'd go into it tonight. But I'll tell you this little story about my fascination with. You've heard of the Enfield poltergeist, right?
I
haven't, but I can guess what it's about.
Yeah, it's very well documented. Yeah.
Clues in the name.
And numerous
look it up,
external eyewitnesses as well. Yeah.
There's a whole series, a vintage BBC series about the Enfield poltergeist.
That was Tim Spall, wasn't it?
No, that's crap. This is an actual documentary from the 80s when they were talking about it. It was 76 or 77, the actual event.
Yes, late 70s, the events.
But
I remember reading them in the Unexplained magazine.
Do you remember a TV show, Paul, called Strange But True with Michael Aspel?
Yeah, I remember that
do you remember that as well, Rob? I thought it might be a bit before time. Well, I used to love watching that. And I watched it one night, and it was about the Enfield poltergeist.
Yeah.
And Lisa and I were together. We'd only been seeing each other a little while, I think, because this was quite a long time ago. I was still living back at my mum and dad's house. So the four of us are sitting there. Lisa worked nights. Well, she was a student nurse. So she was at my house before she was going to work. So we'd sat and we'd had a bit of dinner together or whatever, and we'd put the TV on. I was watching this Strange But True. And they started talking about the Enfield poltergeist. And they'd shown a little clip of what was coming up, which was the test that they did when the girl was possessed. I've scared the dog. She's buggered off. The girl was possessed by this poltergeist and was talking with an old man's voice. And she was about, what was she, Paul, about 10 or 11?
Yeah, if that.
And what this researcher had done was he'd made her take a big mouthful of water and then sellotaped over her mouth with gaffer tape so that she couldn't speak, but this voice was still coming out. And they said, when we come back from the break, Michael Aspel had said, we'll have the recording of that voice, right? So in the ad break, my mum and dad said, right, we're going to pop out. We're going to go out to the fish and chip shop and get something for dinner. And Lisa said, right, well, I'm going to leave because I'm going to go to work.
Yeah.
And left me on my own with the dog. And
right.
He was a Cocker Spaniel as well, like a bit like Poppy, not a million miles different from Poppy. And they all left me on my own, and the show came back. And it was the whole thing where they all that was on screen was this video. There was this reel-to-reel tape, audio tape playing.
Okay.
Of the actual recordings of this event, where there was this old man called Bill talking through this little girl.
I remember the recordings.
It could have just been an old bloke named Bill that they said, "Here, Bill, come on, this is going to be a great prank."
Yeah.
But it scared the shit out of me, and I think my dog realised that I was terrified, so tried to make it worse by doing what Poppy's just done, like staring into space.
Yeah.
Staring like at the wall. Looking at something,
and following it very slowly across the across the coving.
I didn't move from that spot until my parents came home about an hour and a half later.
I was really hoping you were going to say that you were waiting for this kind of voice to start, and then the dog just walks in and goes, "What are we watching?"
Yeah, that would have been a better ending to that story.
Oh my God! Speaking of dogs, right? Just as a quick one to end, I was in Pizza Hut on holiday, right, and sat next to. I feel like I should save this for a crazy train, but I'll tell you guys because I think this is too funny not to share, to be honest. So we're sat there eating, and we noticed that over on the table, round on the other side of the restaurant, there's a couple of kids, like sort of teenage boys and girls, like three or four, I think, maybe three, sat there eating their pizza, and next to one is a Labrador. And this Labrador has one of those jackets on, but it doesn't say guide dog. It says diabetes alert dog. Now, I didn't know what one of these things was. And I start cracking up laughing. And Jen goes, what are you laughing at? And I said, in my head, this is... So, I mean, I'm sure that what it's designed to do is they're designed to sniff... So here we go. With their superior sense of smell, diabetes alert dogs are trained to sniff out low blood glucose.
Prevent people from having hypoglycemic fits.
Yeah. What I pictured was when the waiter came round and said, "Would you like to see the dessert menu?" The dog would just go, "No."
Shame on you.
Or if like, you know, the girl was about to have a bite of cake, the dog would just smack it out of her hand.
Know better than that.
It's just a paw going across the sky, isn't there? In like a wiper blade fashion.
It's just something like that. They have to run it by the dog, so they just look round at the dog, and the dog just shakes its head.
It's almost like a Family Guy scene, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. On that ludicrous note, I think that's a good place to wrap up for the week.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I'm at Talk Star Wars on Twitter.
I'm at Rob Wade Vision.
And I'm cool.
We'll see you next week.
Cheers.